There's something that happens when a man meets an older woman that he rarely talks about. It's not what you might think from movies or stereotypes. It goes much deeper than that. Today, we're going to explore the psychological and emotional truths that men themselves often struggle to put into words. I'm your host, and over the next several minutes we're going to dive into the real reasons why so many men find themselves drawn to older women. And it has everything to do with needs they didn't even know they had. But before we begin, I want you to think about this. When was the last time someone truly listened to you? Not just heard your words, but really understood what you were trying to say. Keep that thought in mind as we explore our first point. The foundation of understanding. Let's start with something fundamental that most people miss entirely. When a man interacts with an older woman, there's often an immediate shift in the dynamic that he experiences, but can't always articulate. Think about typical dating scenarios. There's often pressure, games, uncertainty about intentions, and a constant need to prove oneself. But older women bring something completely different to the table, and it's not what you might expect. The first thing every man secretly hopes for, though he'd never say it out loud, is to be truly heard without judgment. Not heard in the way where someone is waiting for their turn to speak, but genuinely listened to and understood. Older women, through their life experiences, have typically learned the art of listening. They've moved beyond the need to constantly interject with their own stories or one-up someone's experiences. They've learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply be present with someone. But here's what makes this so profound. For men specifically, the pressure release valve society places enormous pressure on men to always have answers, to be strong, to be the providers and protectors. From a young age, boys learn that showing vulnerability or uncertainty is somehow a weakness. But what happens when a man encounters a woman who doesn't need him to be anything other than himself? This is the second thing he secretly hopes for: the permission to be human. Older women often provide this naturally. They've typically been through enough life experiences to understand that everyone struggles, everyone has moments of doubt, and everyone needs support sometimes. They're not looking for a superhero. They're looking for a real person. This creates a space where men can finally exhale. They can admit when they don't know something. They can share their fears about their career, their family, their future. They can be vulnerable without feeling like they're being judged or that they're somehow failing at being a man. Intellectual stimulation beyond surface level now. Let's talk about something that men often crave but rarely find: genuine intellectual connection. And I don't mean showing off knowledge or trying to impress each other. I mean real, substantive conversations about life, philosophy, experiences, and dreams. The third thing men secretly hope for is a woman who can challenge their thinking and expand their perspective. Older women bring decades of experiences, lessons learned, mistakes made and overcome, and wisdom gained through actually living life. They can talk about more than just surface-level topics because they've lived through more than surface-level experiences. They've navigated career challenges, relationship complexities, family dynamics, personal growth, and often major life transitions. For a man who's used to conversations that stay in safe, shallow waters, suddenly having access to someone who can dive deep intellectually is incredibly attractive. It's not about age. It's about depth of experience and the confidence to explore complex topics, the freedom from performance. Here's something that might surprise you. The fourth thing men secretly hope for has nothing to do with physical attraction, though that's often assumed. It's freedom from the constant need to perform or prove their worth. In many dating scenarios, especially with younger partners, there's an underlying current of evaluation happening. Am I successful enough? Am I funny enough? Am I impressive enough? This creates a dynamic where the man feels like he's constantly auditioning for the role of worthy partner. But older women typically approach relationships from a different place. They're not looking for someone to complete them or fix their lives. They've usually learned to be complete on their own. This means they're choosing to be with someone because they genuinely enjoy that person's company, not because they need them to fulfill some missing piece. This shift is profound. Suddenly, a man can relax into being himself, rather than the version of himself he thinks he needs to be. He doesn't have to constantly worry about saying the wrong thing or not being enough. The relationship becomes about authentic connection rather than performance, emotional intelligence and communication. The fifth thing that men hope for but rarely express is clear, direct communication. And older women excel at this for a very specific reason. Life has a way of teaching us that time is precious, and that playing games or being indirect ultimately wastes everyone's time. Older women have typically learned this lesson well. They've moved past the phase where they communicate in hints, expect mind reading, or use passive-aggressive tactics. For men, who often struggle with decoding indirect communication, this directness is like a breath of fresh air. They know where they stand. They understand what's expected. There's no guesswork involved, but it goes deeper than just being direct. Older women typically have higher emotional intelligence. They can recognize and articulate feelings, both their own and others. They can navigate conflict in a mature way. They can discuss problems without making them personal attacks. This creates an environment where issues can actually be resolved rather than just fought about repeatedly. For men who may have experienced relationships where problems never seem to get solved, this approach to communication is incredibly refreshing. Confidence. Without neediness, now we come to perhaps the most attractive quality that men hope for, but often can't name. Genuine confidence that doesn't stem from neediness or insecurity. Older women have typically had time to figure out who they are. They've discovered their interests, developed their values, built their own lives, and learned to be comfortable with themselves. This creates a type of confidence that's very different from what younger people often display. It's not the confidence that comes from external validation or from trying to prove something. It's the quiet confidence that comes from self-knowledge and self-acceptance. For men, this is incredibly attractive because it means they're with someone who chooses to be with them, not someone who needs to be with them. There's a huge difference, and men can feel it even when they can't articulate it. This type of confidence also means that the woman isn't constantly seeking reassurance or validation. She's not asking, "Do I look fat in this?" Or, "Do you still think I'm pretty?" Or needing constant confirmation of the relationship's status. She knows her worth, and she trusts that if someone is with her, it's because they want to be. Life experience and perspective. The seventh thing men secretly hope for is access to a broader perspective on life. Older women bring something invaluable to any relationship. The wisdom that comes from having lived through various life phases and challenges. They've typically navigated career changes, relationship challenges, family dynamics, financial ups and downs, health scares, loss of loved ones, and personal growth journeys. This gives them a perspective that younger people simply haven't had time to develop yet. For men, especially those who might be facing new challenges in their own lives, having access to this wisdom and perspective is incredibly valuable. It's like having a life mentor who also happens to be your romantic partner. But it's not just about getting advice. It's about being with someone who understands that life has ups and downs, that challenges are temporary, that most problems have solutions, and that many things we worry about aren't actually as important as they seem in the moment. This perspective creates a calming influence in the relationship. When a crisis hits, instead of panic, there's often a steady voice saying, "We'll figure this out. I've been through similar things before, and it always works out somehow." Independence and interdependence. The eighth quality that men hope for is a healthy balance between independence and interdependence. Older women typically understand the difference between being in a relationship and losing yourself in a relationship. They've usually learned that the healthiest relationships happen between two complete individuals who choose to share their lives, not between two incomplete people trying to become whole through each other. This means they maintain their own friendships, pursue their own interests, have their own goals, and don't expect their partner to be their entire source of entertainment, emotional support, and life fulfillment. For men, this is incredibly attractive because it removes the pressure to be everything to someone. They don't have to worry that their partner will fall apart if they need to work late, spend time with friends, or pursue their own interests. At the same time, older women typically understand how to be interdependent, how to support each other, how to be there during difficult times, and how to build a life together while still maintaining individual identities, sexual confidence, and openness. Now let's address something that's often whispered about, but rarely discussed openly: sexual confidence and communication. The ninth thing men secretly hope for is a partner who is comfortable with sexuality and can communicate about it openly and honestly. Older women have typically moved beyond the shame, embarrassment, or game playing that sometimes characterizes younger people's approach to intimacy. They know what they like, they're not afraid to ask for what they want, and they're typically more focused on genuine connection and mutual pleasure rather than performance or comparison to unrealistic standards. This creates an environment where both partners can be more authentic and relaxed. There's less pressure, less anxiety, and more focus on actual intimacy rather than trying to live up to some idealized version of what intimacy should look like. For men who may have felt pressure to perform, or who have been with partners who weren't comfortable communicating about physical intimacy, this openness and confidence is incredibly refreshing and attractive. Emotional stability and maturity. The 10th quality that men hope for, though they rarely say it out loud, is emotional stability and maturity. This doesn't mean that older women don't have emotions or never get upset. It means they typically handle emotions in a more mature way. They've usually learned the difference between feeling an emotion and being controlled by an emotion. They can be angry about something without making it about everything. They can be disappointed without it becoming a catastrophe. They can be sad without it meaning the relationship is doomed. This emotional maturity creates a sense of safety in the relationship. Men know that if there's a problem, it will be addressed directly rather than through emotional manipulation, silent treatments, or explosive outbursts. It also means that conflicts can actually lead to resolution and growth, rather than just creating more problems. Older women typically understand that disagreements are normal in relationships, and that the goal isn't to avoid conflict, but to handle it in a way that strengthens the relationship. Acceptance and non-judgment. The 11th thing men secretly hope for is genuine acceptance. Not the kind where someone tolerates your flaws while hoping to change them, but real acceptance of who you are as a complete person. Older women have typically learned that you can't change people, and more importantly, that you shouldn't try to. They've usually moved past the phase where they think they can fix someone or mold them into their ideal partner. This creates an environment where men can be authentic without fear of judgment or pressure to change fundamental aspects of who they are. They can have their quirks, their interests that their partner doesn't share, their ways of doing things, and their personal preferences without feeling like they're constantly disappointing someone. This doesn't mean that growth and compromise don't happen in the relationship. It means that the foundation is acceptance of who the person actually is, not who they might become if they changed enough things about themselves. Shared values and life goals. The 12th quality that men hope for is alignment on the big things, shared values and compatible life goals. Older women typically have a clearer sense of what's truly important to them because they've had time to figure it out through experience. They know whether they want children or not, what role they want their career to play in their life, how they want to spend their free time, what kind of lifestyle they want to maintain, and what their non-negotiable values are. This clarity makes it much easier to determine compatibility early on. Instead of hoping that someone will eventually want the same things or trying to convince someone to change their fundamental goals, both people can assess whether they're actually compatible for a long-term relationship. For men who may be ready for a serious relationship, this clarity is incredibly valuable. They don't have to guess what their partner wants or worry that major incompatibilities will surface years down the road. Appreciation and gratitude. The 13th thing that men secretly hope for is genuine appreciation, not flattery or manipulation, but real recognition and gratitude for the efforts they make and the person they are. Older women typically understand that relationships require effort from both people, and that acknowledging that effort is important for maintaining a healthy dynamic. They've usually learned to express appreciation for both big gestures and small, everyday kindnesses. This isn't about inflating someone's ego or providing constant praise. It's about recognizing when someone does something thoughtful, acknowledging efforts to improve or grow, and expressing gratitude for the positive qualities they bring to the relationship. For men, who often feel like their efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated, this recognition is incredibly meaningful. It creates a positive cycle where both people want to continue making efforts because they know those efforts are seen and valued. Realistic expectations. The 14th quality men hope for is realistic expectations about what a relationship can and should provide. Older women have typically learned that no single person can be everything to someone else, and that healthy relationships have limitations and boundaries. They don't expect their partner to be their best friend, therapist, entertainment director, and soulmate all rolled into one person. They understand that different needs are met by different relationships and activities in life. This creates much less pressure on the romantic relationship. The man doesn't have to worry that he's failing if he can't fulfill every single emotional, social, and intellectual need his partner has. It also means that both people can be more realistic about the challenges and work that relationships require. There's no expectation that if you're truly compatible, everything should be easy and natural all the time. The deeper truth. Now that we've explored 14 specific qualities, let's talk about the deeper truth that underlies all of these hopes and desires. What men really hope for from older women, what everyone hopes for in relationships really, is the opportunity to be seen, understood, and accepted as they truly are. It's the desire for authentic connection without pretense, games, or the exhausting work of trying to be someone they're not. Older women often provide this naturally, not because of their age specifically, but because of the wisdom, self-awareness, and emotional maturity that often comes with life experience. But here's something important to understand. These qualities aren't automatically granted with age. There are older women who haven't developed these characteristics, and there are younger women who have developed them beyond their years. It's really about emotional maturity, self-awareness, and life experience, rather than just the number of years someone has lived, the reciprocal nature. It's also crucial to understand that these hopes and desires aren't one-sided. Just as men hope for these qualities from older women often hope for certain qualities from men as well. They typically hope for emotional availability, genuine interest in getting to know them as individuals, rather than just seeing them through stereotypes, respect for their independence and life experience, and appreciation for what they bring to the relationship. The most successful relationships between men and older women are those where both people recognize and appreciate what the other brings to the partnership. It's not about one person having all the advantages or being the teacher in the relationship. Both people have something valuable to offer, and both people have areas where they can learn and grow. The age difference, when it exists, is just one factor among many that can contribute to a rich, fulfilling relationship. Addressing common misconceptions. Before we conclude, let's address some common misconceptions about relationships between men and older women, because these stereotypes often prevent people from recognizing the genuine emotional and psychological needs we've been discussing. The first misconception is that these relationships are primarily about physical attraction to older women or some kind of maternal complex. While physical attraction is certainly a component of romantic relationships, the deeper attractions we've discussed go far beyond the physical. The second misconception is that men in these relationships are looking for someone to take care of them financially or practically. While older women may sometimes be more financially established, the emotional and psychological qualities we've explored are what create lasting attraction and connection. The third misconception is that these relationships can't be equal partnerships because of age differences. In reality, the most successful relationships are those where both people bring different but equally valuable qualities to the partnership. Age can bring wisdom and perspective, while youth can bring energy and fresh viewpoints. Different life experiences can enrich both people's lives when approached with mutual respect and appreciation. The universal truth, as we wrap up our exploration, it's important to recognize that what we've been discussing really points to universal human needs that exist regardless of age or gender. Everyone wants to be truly heard and understood. Everyone wants to be accepted for who they are. Everyone wants emotional safety and genuine connection. Everyone wants to feel appreciated and valued in their relationships. The reason men often find these needs met by older women isn't because older women are inherently superior partners, but because they've often had more time and experience to develop the emotional intelligence and self-awareness that make fulfilling relationships possible. The real message here isn't about age preferences in dating. It's about the importance of developing emotional maturity, self-awareness, communication skills, and the ability to form genuine connections with others. These are qualities that anyone can develop at any age, and they're the foundation of all healthy, fulfilling relationships. So there you have it, the things that men secretly hope for from older women, and what they really reveal about universal human needs in relationships. The truth is, whether you're a man hoping to understand your own attraction to older women, an older woman wondering what you might offer in relationships, or simply someone interested in understanding human psychology better, these insights point to the same fundamental truth. We all want authentic, mature, emotionally intelligent connection. The good news is that these qualities can be developed by anyone willing to do the inner work of becoming more self-aware, emotionally mature, and genuinely interested in connecting with others as they truly are. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments which of these insights resonated most with you. Have you experienced these dynamics in your own relationships? What would you add to this list? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos exploring the psychology of relationships, dating, and human connection. We release new content every week designed to help you build more fulfilling relationships and understand yourself and others better. And if you're interested in diving deeper into relationship psychology, check out our playlist on emotional intelligence in relationships, or watch our video on how to develop the confidence that makes you attractive at any age. Remember, the best relationships happen between people who are committed to growing, learning, and connecting authentically with others. Age is just one factor among many, but emotional maturity and self-awareness are always attractive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.